What's up, sister? It's your girl, Danielle, and welcome back to the Pretty Powerful Podcast.
And if you don't develop yourself as you go, you will get stuck. You will hit these obstacles because you're not overcoming yourself, right? It's another one of my taglines. Overcome yourself to become yourself.
Oh, I am so pumped, Mia, to have you on this podcast episode today because not long ago, I was on the other end of this on your amazing podcast where you seriously, like your podcast is amazing. Like just letting women feel seen and heard from where they're at with starting their journeys, with starting businesses and different things. And so I just love everything that you're about. You and I have connected so much on so many different levels that we're just like, yes. And we could probably sit here and talk for like 5 hours if we're being honest. So before I'm going to have you jump in, but before I do that, I'll give a quick rundown for my friends listening. Mia Frankel here is in the house, and she is a mom, employee, and an entrepreneur, a teacher, a healer, and a sage. And as someone who has belittled herself for the majority of her life to date, she is now truly embodying her right to her worthiness. Oh, that right there, sister, you wrote her right to her worthiness. That is so good. The practice of detachment, of anchored sense of self and acceptance of that has completely blown open how she can share her heart and wisdom with the world. And we are so honored to have her here today. And we are talking about, well, we're going to just see where the conversation takes us, but Mia is an expert and just so full of and so much knowledge and really focusing on unconditional self-love.
Yeah.
Ooh, Mia, what does that even mean to you? Unconditional self-love. Like, what is that?
You know what? It's going to be your own version of it, but I'll share it to you as being the purest and most uninfluenced version of yourself that ever existed. And so this is beautifully captured in the concept of us in the womb, our moment of creation, our moment of being unbiased. Look, I'm already bursting. And this is all coming out naturally. Like none of this is as pre-planned, right? And this is kind of first sharing of my message. So it's very pure. So it's that truest light force, most beautiful miracle time that we are, where we're just alive in consciousness in the womb as like an embryo, basically, right? We're not even formed. We're like a little worm. And so it's that, and that is such an incredible place to start from. And then as we grow, we move away from that and we have to, backtrack or sift through dense, heavy, fog-like energies to remember and allow that light to shine again. So that is a very big concept, and there's so much unpacking we can go into that. But that's how I would say unconditional self-love is life, and, provided that you had a womb that desired you and had love being enveloped in that. But you are ultimately responsible for your own unconditional, true self-love. So you have to own that, like you did without that not necessarily consciousness. You would have had consciousness in the womb, but you wouldn't have had a notion that your aliveness mattered on somebody else yet.
Oh my gosh. You are just like, honestly, every time I think of like, okay, Danielle, words, use great words. I'm like, be more like Mia. Mia just has this way of just explaining things that is just like so magical. It's so good. So Mia, give us a little backstory of who you are, how you got to this place, right? Like employee and entrepreneur, like all the things. Just give us how'd you get here?
How'd I get here? Just like walking along in life, looking at stuff, going, yeah, no, maybe again, no, yes, until it all comes together. I mean, I'm 41 Earth years trucking along, and I'm in Canada. So I started my life in Quebec, born to immigrant parents. And so we were a little bit different. And like Quebec in the 80s was very stereotypical, very Quebecish. So whatever that means to you. But like I felt different. I felt like I was in a different culture with my family. Our traditions were different. My last name was weird. I would eat shepherd's pie, but we called it something else. And so like there was just all of this stuff. And my parents really wanted us to live like a good Canadian life. So they didn't bring a lot of the traditions or language, but they're, you are who you are and where you're from. And it came with them. And I was a thumb sucker. This is great. I love this. You guys, I sucked my thumb until I was 10 years old because I had insecurity, and it was a safety blanket, and it was everywhere I went. And so that resulted in buck teeth, right? Like I pushed my teeth out for 10 years, and parents tried to get me to stop, and dentists wanted me to have braces and all these things. But it didn't come to fruition until later in life. I did get braces 4.5 years, and I'm very happy with the results. And so, that allowed me to find reasons to be insecure, and allowed me, because now I'm taking personal ownership. So I want you to recognize this like victimhood approach versus now being a bit wiser and having done a tremendous amount of work that is continual to come to a place where I can choose these words. Allowed me to lean into the insecurity, lean into the I'm different, lean into the I'm weird. In all of that, it also gave some space for me to just be weird. Because if I was already being seen and treated as weird on the outside, whether or not it influenced me, it did give me some freedom to be expressed. And so when I was 10, we moved from Quebec to British Columbia. I, had a shift in friends, a shift in environment, a shift in language. But British Columbia, the West Coast, is amazing. And I took to it like a fish to water. And I was blessed with a mom who pushed me to do an extracurricular activity, horseback riding, where I met my tribe of sisters. And we are 3 decades strong, still rocking and rolling and killing it at life together. And they are incredible women. They are all powerhouses in their own regard. And friendships have strengthened over 3 decades of time. And so there I could be more of who I was because I didn't go to school with them, and I felt safe, and they just saw me as me. Like there was no we all loved horses. We all lived at the barn. We all just rolled around together, like at the stables, not in any other connotation, all the time. We lived at the barn. And that was great. And then I sort of, started separating into slightly 2 different versions, right? And life goes on. I mean, I had a strong idea of what I wanted to do, university. So my confidence started coming. And then relationships as you enter, your desire years of meeting somebody. And I made bad relationship choices that fit the lesser narrative of me. So we'll see that in women who are kicking butt, taking names, doing more than Tony Robbins does before 9 a.m. type of thing. Because yeah, girl, yeah, you are. You are. And yet then, in their home life, it's something else. And that's where we divide ourselves to suit different roles and different things that we think we want, or where we haven't completed the harmony of our full self. So in all of that, my experiences, life, bad relationships, this and that, they help serve me to step forward more into that, to bring all the Mias closer and closer together. And I mean, that's still happening. I don't know that there'll ever be a time where I've arrived, except on my deathbed when I go to heaven. Hopefully I did it. Because, it's a long game. It's a long game. And we'll see these heroine stories, women, in achievement, but it's important to remember what's happening underneath what we're seeing and how that's always going. So it's always a reminder that it's a continuous journey. And now just I feel like it's just sort of serendipitously coming together, and I'm more open to leaning into it with a bit more detachment than I have so far.
So how can other women do that?
Yeah. Detachment is this purity, that childlike expression where you're just running free, chasing bubbles, you know, and not worried about what's going on around you. And so for whatever reasons, we become very concerned with the external environment. So I think it's the practice of developing that ultimate extreme, like beyond Olympic gold level, striving practice for yourself in doing what you want to do, being how you want to be, in experimentation, in exploration and curiosity. And without, like, you might have a goal that's drawing you, but without being too attached to it. And it's like, well, how can that be? Like, this is like a conflict. And, I mean, it is, it takes a bit of processing to try and explain that. So, and it's going to look different for everybody. And so this is where you have to try different things until it starts to click into place and to feel free. And for me, I am often led to fit into a box, a label, a stereotypical type of role, and be defined by that. And so for me, the detachment practice has been, you know, recognizing and spending time to see all the different things I am. So in the description, which I wrote, which when you read it at the beginning of the show, I'm like, oh yeah, like I wrote that. That sounds really good.
It does sound really good.
Right? Like I'm not fancy, my loves, listening. Like I wrote that myself. I'm like, I don't have a copywriter. I don't have a marketing manager, but I drop in now and things can come out. I am a mom. I am a sage. I am, a wise and ridiculously silly woman. Like I'm all these things and I'm embracing them. Let's see, the visual that's coming is like I'm all these little children of myself embraced, and not little in the sense of age, but in the sense of that love, that endearment, that joy, that we often and hopefully, get to experience as a young person, and loving all those bits. And that also means loving the not so great bits and practicing detachment from letting those dark bits be greater than the actual small percentage they make up in you.
I love that visual. And I love the word that you keep using, like detachment. And that is a hard, it's a great word to use, but it's also a very challenging thing to do, right? Because, you mentioned like those dark pieces of you, and a lot of times those are the parts where we're like, oh, why is that? Mm-hmm. Why is this in me? How can I change this? I don't like this. I hate this. And we go on that. And so to say like, detach yourself from that, like those are pieces of you. But getting to a place of detachment, like that sounds like the ultimate goal, so I love how you explain that. So can you share with us like what you do in your business? What does that look like for Mia?
In my business of putting this into practice?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's okay. So my favorite tagline, because apparently I write commercial jingles because they all sound like commercial jingles, but they're really quite clever and I enjoy them. And so one of them that really speaks to this question is that the business is the playground for your soul to expand. The business is the playground for your soul to expand. So Danielle comes from fitness background, right? My loves, like she's all about body expression and body movement in non-judgmental space, which means runners. We always see you in runners and workout gear looking adorable and having a blast. So that is like the training tools that you are using to achieve an outcome. And a business can test you beyond, especially because we'll connect ourselves to it as though the success or failure of it means something about us, where really it's just a creative idea and we're not sure how the world will respond. So we can either find out or not, or find out and see that it may or may not be working. Maybe it's something to do with how we're running or not running a business, or maybe it's just not a great idea. That's okay. You don't have to not love it just because nobody else does, but you're not going to make money at it. So this is where the business will either reflect like what your strengths and weaknesses are, and you will either lean into them or attach to them and, want them to be something because you're trying to fulfill something in you externally. And you think, if I can get this thing to sell, then what? You're still gonna, well, I'm a 12-year-old kid here sometimes. You're still gonna go to the bathroom the same. You're still gonna need to eat. You're still gonna grow old. You're like, so then what? Why does that need to happen in your life in order for you to be what you already are? And that's, letting go. And in business, then challenging yourself. It's like an intentional challenge. And if you don't develop yourself as you go, you will get stuck. You will hit these obstacles because you're not overcoming yourself, right? It's another one of my taglines. Overcome yourself to become yourself.
How do we do that?
Different for different folks, right?
Yeah.
The common ones from what I've observed and from what I practice is spending quiet time with yourself. Spending quiet time with yourself. And I will give the grace of it doesn't matter when or how often. We're not trying to hit quotas here. We're just working on ourselves for ourselves. And then the benefits of that show up in other places in our life, in relationships, in our choices, in our bodies, in our business, etc. So when we spend quiet time with ourselves, we get to know ourselves more intimately. The most important person you can know, if you're not a believer in God or another God, is yourself. The most important person you can know is yourself. And how do you get to do that? Is hanging out with your number one, baby. and so, in that practice is quieting the outside noise and using some help to go down those roads. So I'm talking about journaling and journal prompts, meditations, guided self. Music has really been coming up for me. Songs really move through my inner essence, and I get tears, I get chills, I get dancing out of my seat. So you got to find, something like that. And it can be different every day. One morning, it can be just quietly sitting with your eyes closed. But much like in fitness, you have to do some work. There has to be some type of efforting, which I would call discomfort, in order for these things to take effect. It's safe discomfort. You're not walking into an abandoned minefield. You're not, endangering your life in some way, closing your eyes at the steering wheel. You're walking into the safe discomfort of your inner abyss and exploring and seeing what's there. Pick one thing, pick another thing. And as you do that, as you move around, you will start to build some momentum in that. And as you do so, you'll acclimatize to going into the darker places. You might go in quickly, I see it, and run back and disappear again. hide, that's fine. You went and saw it. You were like, oh, peek, pulling back the curtains. Oh, you're back there? Hello? Okay, I see you. Close the curtains, run away. A week, a year. Oh, you go back. Maybe you look at it a little bit longer, right? Because this isn't a pressure. This isn't a time is running out. This is just a gentle, continuous practice that you're doing for you. If you want to get there faster, go hard, but go carefully, because like in training, you still need to rest. The lactic acids need to pulse, the muscles need to restore, the glucoses need to stabilize. That is physiological. And in this spirit healing, there is also, integrating and processing, and it's big work, and it can have a physical demand on you too. So you do need to rest and recover. But as you build that fitness, you can potentially do more, and you will guide yourself in that.
So good. I love the ability though to just, like you said, pull the curtain, take a peek, and if you need to run away real quick, you run away. But at least you did the work. You're making progress. I love that visual. That's so good. In the beginning, your magical words, one of the things you shared, right, is that you are someone who has belittled herself for the majority of her life to date.
Oh, yeah.
So I know that majority of women, myself included, can relate to that, right? Like we go through a lot of our lives feeling like we're not worthy, we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not enough. When have you ever had an experience where you maybe felt a lot of that and then you found a way to like step into your power and really do something different or feel different? And if so, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, I'm just gonna share. Like I used to hurt myself when I was younger. So, and I had chose a couple of eating disorders, thinking body dysmorphia and things. So, like I've gone into some dark places and come out of them. So, it's been real. And I would say, two of the biggest, best lessons that life has handed me was that one relationship when I was just on the cusp of becoming 20 and entering my 20s. And I was with that person for 8 years. And it was toxic and abusive and controlling. And while I was shining in the outside world, I was hurting on the inside world. And it became a beautiful gift because one day that person approached me in such a way, and I was just like, nope, I don't think so. This is done. Forget it. And I stood up to them. I had been bullied. So it was a lot to unlock my voice. And this is my continuous practice, is to unlock my voice and feel safe to express myself as I'm feeling. Because, in romantic relationships, that's where it gets tamped down. And so that was such a stepping in, like, now you guys, I'm standing up stronger. I'm like, yeah, no more. And I left them, broke everything off. Bye-bye. And then went into 8 years of being on my own. And that was so much fun because like I had given up. I had done something with my 20s, that was a bit more serious. So now it was time to play and to know who I am, right? To know who I am. And I spent a lot of time hanging out with myself. Like I said, I take myself on dates, dinner, dress up, have a glass of wine. I was so proud because I was, for the first time in my late 20s, paying my own rent. I had a real job, such big responsibilities, and I killed at it. And I had this beautiful group of friends. I had established community and a life. I had hobbies. I volunteered with Habitat for Humanity, and I did roofing, and I'm scared of heights. And I was climbing the scaffolding, standing on a roof, and that was a big deal to me.
Yeah.
I went camping by myself. So once you give an inch, give yourself an inch, you could take a mile. And I did. I went and I just, like I said, I just did a lot of stuff with me. And that allowed me, then I'm less influenced by other people in that space. I'm not saying being single is the way, because it's important to take that framework and bring it with you everywhere, right? And so in my version, it happened in this way. But if we're in relationships or whatever we're in, it's the practice of holding that no matter what. That's where we don't have this external environment that we choose to victimize with, right? And that's how we really step into our power. That's how we can very joyfully, I would say it's like you're having boundaries, but you're not about it. You know, like you don't have to be a jerk to be firm in who you are and what's okay and what's not okay for you. And so an example I always give of this, because often personal boundaries are very personal, is to really put it into tangible context is, you're at a restaurant with somebody and the French fries come, and so does the little caddy of accoutrement for the French fries, and you reach for the vinegar and they reach for the salt. It's like you put the vinegar on yours, they put the salt on theirs, and you happily eat to your enjoyment, right? So you're taking care of yourself because it's for you. It doesn't affect the other person if you want vinegar or not. Until you kiss later, maybe. Vinegar breath. So this trying to describe like how boundaries work, how it's safe to have them, how they generally are taking better care of you and your specific needs that, if you've hung out with yourself, you will know what's best for you.
Mm. One part that really stuck out to me was you saying, you go an inch and then it could go a mile. I think that's essentially what you were saying. Like you take one step, right? And it's because of the ability to spend that time with yourself to figure out, okay, what is that? What is that next step? What is that inch that I want to take without the expectation and the pressure on yourself to go the whole mile, right? Like maybe if we're afraid of heights, maybe we're not just going to jump right on top of the roof, but maybe it's right. The next step is just applying or doing this or going and view it, and it's just taking that step, but based on, like you said, of like knowing yourself and then putting into place, like whether you're by yourself or you're with someone or with groups of people, still being willing to say, no, I want the vinegar on mine, or no, I want this on mine. And you can have whatever you want on yours, but like, I still do me and you can still do you. And that's the beauty of that. So that was I love all of that. And I love that our businesses are so beautifully almost perfect and the same is that you are powerful. And so do you want to share with us, like, what do you do in your business? And I have to also say, Mia, one of the things that I find so powerful about you, there's so many of them. I could make a whole list, but one of the things is I believe there's a big pressure on people who have a desire to be an entrepreneur, to start a business. There's a lot of pressure to leave everything else. Like you can't do anything else. You have to just do the business or you'll never be successful. And what I love so much about you is you stepping into your power and you saying, no, I am an employee. I have a full-time job. And at the same time, I pursue my passions. And I love that you get up early, super early in the morning and do the podcast episodes. Like you just make this work because it's so important to you. So what is, for your business, what is the powerful push for you that makes you want to do it, the desire to do it, and what you actually do in your business? Would you like to share that?
5:45 a.m. is when I record, folks.
It's so true and it's so good. But again, that speaks to the power of when you have a passion and you have a purpose, that you find a way because it's important to you. And I just love that about you. Okay, so I'll shut up now.
So it's important to me because it's important to those who need it. And as I heal and expand myself, I want to give that gift to the others who are, just wanting somebody to be an example, somebody to follow. And it circulates. I am a chain in the link. I'm a link in the chain, right? And I have my place for those who need me specifically. I follow those who I need specifically, and we all circulate together in this place of falling madly in love with all of who we are. So Powerful Inc. started as Mia Frankel, online business manager. So very serious librarian type of businessy strategic systems person, which was very much a lot of my personality. And just as I grew, the business evolved. The download came about a year and a half ago. Her Full, Full, for the Fullness Inc. Incorporated, because Powerful I was like, it's missing. And now it's business systems and strategy and simplicity to help an entrepreneur run their business without it running their life, because creatives will have ideas and sell, and the back end will be messy, like a dump truck came and just left all your contents in a pile outside in the driveway, and then it rained and snowed, and then animals came, and now you want to hire a team and it smells weird.
And every entrepreneur right now is like nodding their head like, oh my gosh, how does she know?
And then I come in and I have my paint and my glitter and my glue and my colors. And I'm like, sprinkle some magic dust around and turn it into something that you would see on Pinterest.
Ooh, I love that.
Yes, it's really good. It's all very organically coming out right now. And then you go back into your office and you're like, whoa, look at me. Like, I'm a real business owner. I have folders. I have proper names on stuff. I got rid of duplicates and triplicates of things. And it's through that decluttering and cleansing process that you get that extra thing that comes with me, which is, like the love, the encouragement, the joking around, and the believing in you. Like, that's such the bigger piece. So it's Powerful Inc. because I believe in you so much more than you believe in yourself, that you almost don't have to believe in yourself, but you do, because you're the one who's responsible. And when we hold the mirrors up to each other like that, we're like the infinity candle, right? So the infinity candle, if you don't know, Google it. It's a candle in a mirror, and then it just reflects in perpetuity for eternity. And it's a very beautiful thing, and it's very real. And, a lot of this is healing myself. It's also a lot of natural skills that I have. It's also the heart that I've been given to serve and love and support and help. And now I get to do it all in a very fun way. And it's really it's evolved from having been like really much in the trenches with a CEO while working a full-time job and kids and yada, yada, to now becoming a more digitized online program with access to me through groups. So I'm still very present, but I had to switch it for me. This is a boundary. This is how I applied, and you guys listen in here because I'm even articulating it for myself. I applied a very direct boundary for my business that I do want to replace my job with, by making it work for me rather than making it work for somebody who was giving me money to work for them. Okay. That was huge. And in that, I can stand in my power and I can serve in a much more free way to create the different things. Like I do women's circles, I do mindset stuff, I do the systems and strategy, I have mini business management things, and whatever else is going to come out in all of that. And now it's not like I'm any one label, but I have a container that really captures them all and makes them available. And there's a real magic to how I get activated when I sync up and co-create with somebody. And the podcast has been all about that. Like, that's not just me. I'm really good on the show, but it's because the guest and I can open our hearts to each other, and the light connects for that duration of the conversation, like Danielle and I are having right now too, because Danielle, I in love with her.
The feeling is so mutual. Like, no, it's so true. Like, that is exactly what your podcast does. And that is a reason why I wanted to start this podcast again, because it's just so powerful, right? To have these conversations with women, because we're all powerful so much in our own right and in different ways. And we're just so unique. And I just think it's a beautiful thing. And like you just shared, I know for me and so many of the entrepreneurs that I talk to, or even in our careers, right? Like we put these pressures on ourselves, and we like on ourselves, and then we set the expectation that everyone else is more important than us, right? Like the client that they need the call at this time. Well, I'm not really available, but okay, but they want to pay me and they need help. So I'll just do that. Or the career, right? The boss wants me to come in an hour earlier, but I got kids or I got to do this. And I really can't do that, but I guess I will because I should. And, so I love that you just shared, you're building something that allows you to step into your power with your boundaries. And how much more powerful are you and able to serve those humans because now you're filled up, right? Like you're on that next level because you're like, no, this is, I'm going, like, this is me. Like I have the energy, I have the ability, I have everything that I need to pour into you rather than feeling like, oh, I guess I'll just do that because XYZ. So that is just so good. And you're like, I love how you shared too, like you were given the heart, you were given this purpose, you were given this to do this work. And yes, it's the systems and you can make, I love that so much. Now I just see like I see all my trash just outside getting poured on. And then Mia comes in and just makes it look like Pinterest. And I'm like, oh, it was just like a little dusting of like, bing, and now it's perfect. And so like, that is what you do. So any business owners that are listening to this, you're like, I need that in my life. Like reach out to Mia. She will make it happen. But what I love even more is that you identified, because this is how I feel about you, is that you identified that the real work is that heart, right? Like I'll be there. I believe in you. Right? Like I'm that shoulder to like cry on. I'm, like we do business, we do life. We're humans, and you have this special connection that you just like, you feel when I look at you, when I talk to you, like I just feel warmth and comfort and just know that like, if you were to come and turn my stuff into Pinterest, like it would be so much more than just like, here's all your files and here's that. Like there's a true love and like connection. And so you're just an incredible, powerful human that I'm just so grateful to have here. Are you ready for some rapid fire questions? Okay. What is your favorite color?
Pink.
Oh, okay. We're both wearing green today. So I was like, is her favorite color green? Because my favorite color is green. So I was like, maybe we got that connection too. But I love pink too. Okay, cool. If you could choose any one meal as your treat meal or it's your last meal ever, what do you choose?
Fettuccine Alfredo with seafood.
So good. Oh, so
garlic bread, Parmesan.
I love that answer. All right. What are some of the main topics that you see when you open your social media, like on your main newsfeed?
It's like people's kids and puppies and beautiful places and things like that. So, is that a good?
Yeah, I love it. So, I see a lot of reality TV stuff myself, or, like I just see different stuff. I'm always curious, like, what is the algorithm sending to other people?
Right.
What is one movement or exercise that you enjoy doing that makes you feel powerful?
I like to ride my bike. I like to plank. I like to kickbox. So it's not one move. It's like a workout class, but any type of cardio kickboxing. You guys, there's a whole other conversation around connecting your mind, body, and spirit to each other. But when I am punching, woo, I'm like bawling, like destroying.
And I love that answer so much because I teach cardio kickboxing and it is my absolute favorite. So good, great answer. So if you watch TV, what is your absolute favorite show if you could only watch one show for the rest of your life?
Friends.
That's a common one. I love it.
Melrose Place, but it's been a while. Friends was, I know pretty much all the lines to every episode.
And yet we can watch them over and over and over again and still be entertained. It's magical. What does being pretty powerful mean to you?
Oh, leading by example. Leading by example. Don't do as I say, do as I do, and hold myself accountable to do right for you as your leader.
That was good.
That just came.
So good. So good. Do you have a favorite book that kind of transformed your life or mindset?
One that I find myself drifting back to is Elizabeth Gilbert's Eat, Pray, Love, because that moment on the bathroom floor when her higher self spoke to her really reminded me of how we're not alone. We have ourselves. No matter what, through thick and thin, you can count on yourself. And then the moment where she sat in the mosquitoes all zenned out, and I'm like, I can't even read this without being irritated. But it also helps me come to a very calm state of being to think of what that would have been like for her, of how surrendered she would have been. So, I mean, it's not necessarily the most life-changing, but it is one that those two parts really I hold close.
Yeah. 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 I think it's those little moments and those stories where you're like, it helps you in a specific moment where you can just picture that or imagine that. So that's powerful. Who is one powerful woman that has inspired you in your life?
Well, I've always adored Madonna.
Yes. Yes.
But that's a big question, Danielle. How much time do we have left here?
Hey, Madonna works. Hey, look, I remember I was on a podcast one time and they asked me a similar question and I said Britney Spears because I love me some Britney Spears. And I was like, I know that's not like the quote unquote like professional answer that you were looking for, but like, hey.
It's mine. Yeah, Madonna's badass, and Cher. Like, those two have stood the test of time, have been awesome and awful and not given a rat's.
Yeah.
I want to be like that.
Yes.
Plus terms, right? Yeah.
Those are great. Those are great. What is a daily or consistent habit that helps you step more into your confidence and self-love?
Well, the journaling is great. My quiet time in the morning. So like I wake up and I have that quiet time. I have a 5-year-old that I have to get off to school and stuff, right? So that quiet time really helps me ground in. Journaling is amazing. Going for walks is incredible. And then I really get turned on by sitting down at my computer and working on my business and creating my content and practicing, just practicing what I'm doing, getting better at it.
I love that we get to practice what we do. That's good. I like that. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, last one. If there was one powerful piece of advice that you could leave for your daughters, what would it be?
Be kind to yourself and to others. Things will work themselves out. Move your body and have fun.
I love that. What a beautiful sentence that just encompasses everything.
Simple. It's
So
not
simple.
hard, right? We make it hard, but it's not hard.
So good. Mia, you are absolutely incredible. I feel like I've said that 100 million times and I get sick of myself talking, but like it's it's so true. And I could literally listen to you talk all the time because you are so good with your words. And a couple of those quotes that you shared, like I know we're going to pull those out and just put those things on repeat for ourselves. And so everything that you shared here today was just perfect and amazing and just going to change so many people's mindsets because that's where we start, right? Is shifting our mindsets, especially like you said, like with how we treat ourselves by taking that quiet time for ourselves. And so it's just so good. Where would you like for people, they listen to this, they're like, I need more me in my life. Where do they find you? Where would you like for them to come hang out with you?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram at Powerful Inc. on both.
I'll remind you at the end of every single episode, you do not owe the world pretty, but you do owe yourself to step into your personal power because you, my friend, are a powerhouse woman. Go out and prove it to yourself.